Welcome to another episode of Build It Like a Pro, the show where we teach you how to build DIY equipment that you can use on the job. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and today we are going to be building this very indie beginner wireless audio and monitoring system where not only can you transmit to your camera, but you can also make a backup recording. So with that said, let's go over to the workbench and let's get building. Okay, so here we are, and let's first talk about what we're going to use. First off, you're going to get yourself a boom pole. This is the boom pole from the company that shall not be named, but I will put a link in the description for the boom pole because it is actually a fairly good boom pole. But we're going to use this boom pole. Next thing you are going to need is you're going to need your recorder. We are going to use the Zoom H1N. Now, we're going to be using this as both a microphone and a recorder. And you can pick up a dual foam and dead cat here, which I have done. And I'll leave that in the extras part. But our main microphone is going to be the Zoom. Next, we need a way to not only capture the audio, but broadcast the audio. So I have two sets of Rode wireless Go's. Now, I'm going to leave down in the description below the SOKANI ones because they work just as well as the Rodes. They're a little bit more budget friendly. The SOKANI are $100. A Rode set will cost you about $200. And it will work just fine for what you're doing. But you can go with Rode, but I would strongly suggest the SOKANI brand. That'll save you some money and get you more toward the just about $400. And of course, you're going to take you'll get the two wires here. One thing I do suggest is that you purchase an extra wire because two of these are going to go into the microphones, and then you need one to go into your camera. So you will need to pick up an extra one of these. And I also suggest don't get these curly things because then you have to tie them down. They have a tendency to bounce and make a lot of noise. But that's just my preference. And then you're going to need a splitter like so. Then you're going to need some kind of a ball head and clamp. Now you can get these clamps with a little disc that has the 1/4-20 on it. I just kind of took one of these double-sided 1/4-20s and put it together. You can also take something like a mini clamp and this other like GoPro thing I put together. And finally, you're going to need something to clip these two. I have this Ulanzi plate, but I will leave a link in the description to actually a smaller one that's actually got 3 sides, which is much better in my opinion. And of course, you'll need a microphone head of some sort, and you'll need the Zoom handle. And of course, lastly, you will need some kind of good headphones, which I have my really nice headphones right here. So let's go ahead and let's start putting this thing together. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put together my main microphone assembly. Now, we are going to be recording and using the Zoom as a cheap microphone. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just slap on the dead cat here. Now, one thing you do have to be careful with the Zoom is you have to be careful with this dial. Unfortunately, there is no locking mechanism. Hopefully in the next model, they will give us some sort of locking mechanism so that you don't accidentally turn this when you put the dead cat on. But you can hold it down with a piece of gaff tape. And this I find is the best way to put it on, turn it inside out. And I usually like to leave this between 6 and 7. You're gonna move this around a bit. You're gonna readjust this dial and the volume here once you get this thing set up. So now we're gonna take our splitter and we're gonna go from the line out headphone jack because it is an actual line out as well. And we're gonna plug that in. And let's push that over to the side. And let's grab our Rode wireless Go's. Now I have these marked, 1 and 2. 2 is gonna be for the headphones, 1's going to be for the camera. And this makes sure that you have the 2 that have the built-in microphone. And we're going to take our wires here, and we're just going to plug our wires into 2 and plug it into the second one here and do the same. And if you could find these that are just straight up and down rather than at an L shape, that will help you too. And there we go. Your transmitter and recorder is all set. So let's go ahead and put that over to the side, and let's start building our microphone here. Let me go ahead and attach the microphone. And now what I use is this thing that I put together. This is a little GoPro contraption that Caleb over at DSLR Video Shooter recommended, but you can simply use a very cheap ball head for this. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and put the ball head onto the zoom, and we're going to make sure this is nice and tight, and we're going to go ahead and put the handle on here, and let's go ahead and make sure this isn't going to move around, and I'm going to tilt this at a slight angle. You can really play around with this. Then we're just going to go ahead and attach the head to the boom pole. And make sure you do, when you get one of these heads, you get the downsizing nut. They usually come with, but just make sure you're getting that. Just make sure it's going to fit on your boom pole. And then we stick our microphone in like so. And there we go. Our microphone is pretty much well set up. We can go ahead and we get a little bit of movement here with the microphone because we've got the ball head. And you can go ahead and aim it straight down if you want, like so. Because keep in mind, you can always control the head and where you want it to point. And there you go, your microphone assembly is pretty much done. Now let's go ahead and take my clamp here, and let's go ahead and assemble this. It doesn't really matter how this rests because it doesn't really matter. Actually, I have this little rubber washer that I actually just had lying around, but you can use a regular washer. I recommend the rubber washer because it'll help you tighten this. So if you want to pick up a couple of small rubber washers, and you can just kind of tighten that up and it won't move. So next I'm going to let out some of my pole here, like so. And let's go ahead and just clamp this down, leaving a little bit of space. And let's go ahead and turn this back a little bit. And we're just going to go ahead and clip on one on the bottom here. And we're going to clip on two here. So far, so good. Now let's go ahead and bring back our assembly here. And let's make sure we clip on the right ones. It doesn't really matter where these go. I like to clip these so that the wires are facing the microphone, like so. And we go ahead and plug this into the microphone, into the jack, like so. Make sure this is not going to slide around on us. And there we go. There is pretty much your microphone assembly. And of course, you can tie up the wires here using some twisty ties. In fact, I would highly recommend it. You don't want these wires banging around. So we'll just kind of tie off the wires here. And you can use anything. You could buy these, or you can get them from, you can get these from, you use twisty ties from like your bread if you have them, or anything that comes with electronic. So you just cinch up your wires, and there you go. You pretty much have a nice system here. That is pretty much all set and ready to go. Now let's put that aside, and let's talk about how you are going to connect this. Now basically, you're going to take the connector that goes to the camera, you're going to plug it in, plug this into your camera, and there is your transmitter. Your recorder is actually the microphone, so you are using the microphone. You're using the Zoom as both the microphone and the recorder, so you're getting double. And then there's monitoring your audio. So I'm going to take my pair of headphones, and I'm just going to plug this in, and I'm just going to throw this on, clip this on my belt, or throw this in my pocket. I can even run the cord down my shirt if I wanted to, and that's it. Completely wireless microphone. And this works very, very well. Now, you will need to go between say the volume on the side here, adjusting this knob up here, and of course adjusting the dBs on this. But this works really, really well once you get it to the right sound levels, and it really gives you a lot of control. And that's it. That is the way to both monitor and record at the same time. This will probably cost you maybe about $450 to do. It's still way cheaper than having to invest in a device like this, which can get very costly and also is handicapped in America, which is terrible. It stinks, and I don't know why they would sell this because it's handicapped. But anyway, it's just my personal gripe with this that I'll probably be selling. Anyway, but this is kind of the best way, and this is great for short distances. If you want to record some dialogue, this is my hack to both recording and transmitting. And there you have it, my wireless audio system and transmitting system. This thing works really well once I got my sound all balanced out. It really works fantastically. And again, a lot of this stuff you probably have in your studio. You can go with the cheaper versions of the Rode, which are the SOKANI. I think they're like $100 each, and you're gonna need 2 sets. At the time of this video, these Zoom H1Ns are on sale for about $85. And it is really fantastic. The only thing I would replace on this rig is this clamp. Because I am getting some noise here, I would use an Impact mini clamp, which has a ratchet system, so you won't get this rattling. And I have to say, adding the Rode to the headphones is fantastic. There's almost no delay that I can actually hear, so this thing works really well. Now, one thing I would do is I would do what Caleb over at DSLR Video Shooter did, and I would mod a pair of headphones and glue on a cold shoe, and then just mount this to my headphones. But for now, throwing this in my pocket and running the wire down my shirt, not a big deal. But all in all, this is a pretty fantastic rig that allows you to both record and transmit, unlike the DD stuff, which unfortunately is handicapped in this country and will probably never be unhandicapped. This is going to get you both recording and transmitting. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on my rig that I've built here, but I want to know what your thoughts are. So if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to mash the bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and I'll see you next time at the build table.